Hi, everybody, again. How have you guys been? Hello. Welcome to Marcy Talks About It. Just about everything. It's so good to be able to relate and be with you guys again. Welcome to this new channel. As you can see from the date and the small number of viewers that I hope will become a large number of viewers, because I like to share a lot of heartfelt information, and for educational purposes, just for life purposes, for life application purposes, um, and just to hope that at least one person out there can not only get something out of it, but feel better than they did before they hopped along this channel. So please be interactive as this channel grows, and help it to grow by subscribing so that you can make comments. There's an email attached. Once you subscribe, you can email me and I can reply by email or reply to comments that I see come on the board, or on the screen rather, of the computer. And hit the notification bell, because again, as a new channel, as you'll here in many of the videos that I've already posted, with the small number of viewers and my own responsibilities, in my own self way of expression, my own unique self to thine own self be true way of expressing myself, the videos come through inspiration. And it could be something that I've seen on the news like everybody else, or something I experienced a long time ago, or something I experienced yesterday or thought of. But again, it's my desire to express myself. That's typically by way of what I'm feeling inspired to express at the time. And I do write little cue cards or cheat sheets or whatever, just to kind of keep the videos on point and not make them too lengthy. There are going to be some that are a little bit lengthier than others, depending on the topics. And when Marcy's talking about just about everything, that could be just about anything. So, thumbs up if you like. Hopefully, not a thumbs down, but give me the reason why. Email it to me, ask questions, participate, and take a look at my other YouTube channel that was created a while back. And I haven't been active on it for a good while, preparing for this channel and my other responsibilities. But I have linked the two channels together, and that one is Racism and Slavery Healing for All Who Seek It. And keyword healing, because you hear a lot of things about racism. You hear a lot of things, well, maybe not a lot of things about slavery, but that's the elephant in the room, slavery. Everybody has heard the word anyway. But with regards to all of those topics that people do not like to hear, discuss, talk about, get along with, my thing is the educational aspects of slavery, and thus where racism, especially with regards to people of color, originated from, and very neutral presentation for the most part in seeking healing, not just about the unfortunate aspect and the creation of slavery of African peoples, and there are several other peoples over millennia that have been enslaved, a lot of prisoners of war and so forth. Those are other documentaries, those are other YouTube channels and so forth. But as far as my connected YouTube channel, feel free. There was a lot of research done, not my own initial research of the factual information, but my own reading and watching videos and staying up late at night, documentaries, videos, speeches, seminars, reading archives from Britain and everywhere, basically to just kind of get a collection of other research and studies and archived records and kind of consolidating it for simplicity purposes. Let's put it like that. To put it together in a way to and present it to you in a way may be easier to understand or to follow, and not feel so much angst about it, like us versus them or black versus white, and just kind of have a learning, healing process together, because there's lots of angst and there's lots of this versus that and me versus you and them versus them, but there's not a lot of solutions. There's not a lot. I don't know how much willingness there is to heal and willingness there is to give solutions and suggestions with regards to healing and resolving such serious matters with regards to race. But at the end of the day, check that channel out when you get a chance. But keep checking this one out too. And just kind of pick your videos and pick your picks and share with others so that someone can heal from a particular video, learn from a particular video. This particular channel, find interest in something that Marcy's talking about, just about everything, and or feel better, because I like to do a lot of heart to heart sharing, no matter how lighthearted or fun or serious the topic is. I'm very bold, I'm very courageous, and I continue to say that. But what I usually like to say, and so the video won't be so long, I do like to pay homage to people suffering from everything from the world pandemic to financial issues because of the pandemic in every aspect. Small, medium, large, huge, humongous, and natural disasters in the United States and abroad. And anybody that's suffering in any type of mental, emotional, or physical way, God forbid, any type of violence or crime or anything like that, that's awful. That's a no. That's ungodly. That's horrible. But just people just not in a good mood, unhappy, pissed off, frustrated, depressed, anxiety, whatever it is. My prayers, my blessings, my heart goes out to you so that during and or at the end of this video and any video, hopefully I can emit some measure of goodness from my heart to yours. So without further ado, and at 7 minutes and 39 seconds, I'm going to move into actually from my last video. And if I've numbered it correctly, this is video number 22. If it's incorrect, then it's video number 23 and I have to go and correct it. But I believe my last video was video number 21. And this one's 22. And 21, I did have a cue card that I didn't finish because that video got a little lengthy. And some of the subjects vary. You know, Marcy talks about it, just about everything. And so I thought I would, I'm having hair in my eye issues. I thought I would, the computer is my mirror. I thought I would just, table some of the other aspects of that last video on the cue card so that I would mix too many subjects. And the subject today, you see the title, it's not a really fun or funny one. I'm very bold. I'm very courageous. I'm going to speak on my own personal experiences that I've witnessed with my own eyes, listened to with my own ears, or been physically touched or assaulted or whatever it is that's happened. This is not a hearsay kind of movement, okay? This is I'm giving it to you straight kind of movement. And I don't mind doing that. And we all have opinions and we all have different upbringings and different differences. So we can agree to disagree or agree to agree, or we don't even have to go there. We can just listen or not listen or keep it moving, okay? Because at some point, we all have a number and our number is going to be up. So we might as well live and try to live as peacefully and with as much joy and contentment within ourselves and with each other as we can, because one day our number is going to be up and we're not going to be doing anything, eating cheesecake, going to Six Flags, going to the movies, doing nothing, pizza, nothing. It's all going to be over with. Just saying. That's just a fact. So fighting and arguing and carrying on and not liking and hating and acting up and this and that. And that. Okay, fine and dandelion, not really. It's just that one day you're not going to be able to do any of that stuff. So you might as well enjoy as much as possible, share as much as possible, and do as much good as possible, because one day you won't be able to do any of it because your number will be up. Okay. All right. So going back to finishing out the other video, which leads into this title of this video, nasty. What is it? Nasty church or religious folks. Woo wee. I know y'all like, no, she's not fixing to go there. Most people say, I want to talk about religion, politics. I think it's three things people do not like to go there, because it usually starts arguments or ended because they think you're specifically talking about their particular religious belief or their denominational church membership or their culture or their race or this and that and other. That's why I try my best not to offend and present things in as respectful of a manner as possible, because I want to be respected as well, and I demand respect, by the way. So that which was good for the goose is good for the gander. So that which I expect is that which I try my best to admit. But topics are topics. So let's get to it. What I wanted to do, since this is one of those kind of topics, is try to make it as presentable as possible, because it's not a real fun topic. And I certainly want to make sure that I'm giving credit where it is due. I'm being respectful with regards to my own spirituality and religious beliefs, as well as everybody else. And I hope I don't miss anybody. If anybody needs any clarity, feel free to make a comment, send me an email. This is not to offend. This is not to get everybody to agree. This is not to create controversy or argument. This is mostly me sharing my own experience. Again, something that I've seen with my own eyes, and either my own concerns about it or my own experience with it. Okay? So let's get to talking. Just sharing, just saying. Okay? All right. So where I left off with the last video, I didn't get into something that I can say this at any time, but I want to say it because I want to make a quick point. Humans versus animals or pets even. Human beings obviously are the hierarchy of the kingdom of living things on this earth, right? From animals to plants to, and so forth, right? And so, really, there are some animals that obviously are acting on instinct. That's what they have, instinct, and they've got to eat. You've got your big predators, and grizzly bear. Better have a cut. Better have some of that big can, not the little can. Better get that big can of grizzly bear spray, right? Because they are trackers. They're so smart. They can smell you, I think, 100 miles, some blood or whatever. You better get out the way. Don't even go where they are. I don't want to go where no me and grizzly bear. They're so pretty, and a stuffed animal for a gift or whatever. I've had them. We all like teddy bears. Keep the real thing away from. Matter of fact, you don't have to keep a grizzly bear away from me, because I'm gonna stay away from it. How about that? That's me. I don't want to go hiking. I don't want to go camping. I don't want to do any of that. Not me. People do, and they like it. They may go to areas where they know that there's no bears or grizzlies or the big predators or whatever. And there's some people that go right to, they don't have a weapon. Okay, that's a whole nother video. We're not going to go there today, because this is a more serious thing, and I don't want everybody to wonder, okay, we're talking about nasty church or religious folks. How do we get on grizzly bears? How we got on grizzly bears is because even though they are super trackers and super smart, and they're very territorial, they're not smarter than human beings. They can outrun you, but they're not smarter than us. They were not made in the hierarchy over a human being. And then the same as, I think it's about 5 animals that are like super, super smart. You've got your grizzly or bears, period. You've got your elephants that, remember those, I don't know, 4,000 miles, however many miles, I'll Google it, that they take those same treks for millennia, why they have to go so far to get water. I guess it got something to do with famine and drought. I watched so many of those documentaries or whatever. I absolutely love safari videos. I would never go, but I love watching where the animals are on the screen and I'm over here safe watching it. But just their memory, if you do something wrong to them, they see you again, like 40 years later, they're going to remember you and they're going to come after you. This is so smart. They're not over the hierarchy of man. I'm making my point. Some of you guys out there are smart enough to kind of get it already, but let me get my point. So we got grizzly, bears. We got the smart elephant, the memory of an elephant, that's the same. We've got dolphins and that whole thing, they've been studied, and, some form of communication even, whatever, and maybe some even the other ocean animals that are super smart, but you got the dolphin smart thing. You got pigs. As much as people eat bacon and love all kinds of pork and whatnot, at the end of the day, pigs, you just had that first pig heart transplant by that doctor who has a heart issue that's hereditary in his family, and has helped come up with this thing where there's the first altered, had to get it more human ready pig transplant. Google that. That was just this past week, I believe, January of 22. His history has been made. We have to follow and hope and pray and see how well that works for that gentleman. Because if it's working for him, I know he's pleased. I know he's happy in his family. And the longer that works, we got some new history, some technology, and then that can help the doctor who came up with it. You know what I'm saying? It's so great to be a giver, but it didn't hurt to receive, So anyway, keeping it moving. You got what I say, bears, elephant with that memory, pigs, dolphins, and then I'm going to mention one more. Even though there's a few wolves and whatever. But we'll end with 5. The dad blasted. What is it? Just in my mind. Ooh, I can't stand brain farts. You know what I'm saying? Think a second and come right back to it. Duh. Like duh, for real. Primate. It's supposed to be like this one. So you can be seeing all the clothes I need to fold up and stuff over there. Anyway, primates. Hello. To the point where it was even considered that man either developed from primates. But if that's the case, why do primates still look like primates and humans don't look like primates for the most part, anymore, for whatever reason? So if man came from primates, why do primates still look the same? That's another argument. That's another video. We won't go there. But the thing of it is they are super smart. The primate family, and it's so many, gorilla, ape, orangutan. Orangutan are super smart. And don't mess with them. They're super strong. Monkeys, whatever. The whole thing. Apes lead them people, not people. I understand we've had Planet of the Apes and whatever and all those shows, fictitious shows about primates talking and what have you. And that's because they have a high, close to human smarts, and that's why they're used in testing for things and whatnot, because they can be trained and all that, but they're still a part of the wild. There's all of these animals are part of the wild. They're not human beings, because human beings were made at the top of the food chain, the top of the hierarchy, period. That being said, why do some humans act like animals? Remember, this is Marcy Talks about it, just about everything. And if you watch my intro or read it, or listen to me read it, since a lot of people do not read what people type as YouTubers, then you will find that I'm a straight shooter. I'm nice, I'm kind, but my kindness is not to be mistaken for weakness. I'm not a fool. Okay? So just because I'm goofy and fun and loving and empathetic and heartfelt and all that, I'm also straight up. This is not, good afternoon, America. I am not a licensed journalist. That is no reason or excuse for me to misbehave or disrespect anyone. But I have often, if I lean back in this chair and put my head in my hands, I'm like, ugh. Okay. That's because I am a regular person, human being, and to thine own self, I will be true. I am courageous, I'm bold, and I'm brave, and I will speak my mind, even though I know within freedom of speech, words do matter. So it is important to me how I express myself on particular topics, especially very kind of ones that are a little bit on the edgy side. But I'm still going to say again. And sometimes I may speak a little bit street dialect, a little ebonics, throw some antics in it. But at the end of the day, when I'm serious, I am serious. And when I'm laughing, I'm laughing. When I'm cutting up, I'm cutting up. You'll be able to tell the difference. I know how to compartmentalize. Sure do. So, why is it if humans were placed at the top of the hierarchy, whether you believe in God or not? I do. Whether you believe in creation or whether you believe in evolution, either which direction, I think everybody believes that humans are at the top of the food chain. So if that's the case, whatever your culture, whatever your religious or the lack of it, or spiritual or the lack of it, belief system is, why do some humans act like or worse than animals? So moving on from that, you got my point. So if you wanted to know what in the world did that about grizzly bears and all that have to do with the title of nasty church or religious folks, that's what it had to do with, because some people, whether church, religion, family, whoever, some human beings literally, and I'm not talking about people with severe, because I have a high respect for the mental health genre. Severe, I'm not saying mental health is an excuse to act out, but severe and especially untreated mental health, and that's another whole video, diagnoses and trauma and whatever. It doesn't even have to be from a birth trauma or a birth anomaly. It could be from a traumatic experience that has caused someone to have, difficulty navigating their life or the world, and thereby, boom, some form of acting out or whatever. But I'm talking about just the average, regular, typical us humans. Why are some animals, dog being man's best friend, wag their tail 24/7 unless they're sleeping, snoring, snuggled up with you, cats meowing and purring and carrying on and on. Animals just doing their thing. And then you have human beings, some just cutting a rug all over the place. Mm-mm. It's a hot mess. So anyway, moving along, now that I've made that point about human versus animal, human beings should be behaving, no matter who you are, where you are, what culture you are, what you believe in or not, better than animals. Because animals cannot plan in the way that humans cannot think in the way that humans cannot have self-control in the way that humans can, and so forth and so on. So get it? Don't have no grizzly bear acting better than you. That don't make sense. Moving on from that point, let's go to what I put too. Oh, let me give it just a little bit of my own. I see. Hi. I don't know if people like people giving their full names as far as their own identities and protections and safety and privacy and whatever, but somebody has their name on the comment thing. So I just want to say hello. And I don't see a comment. I'm not really sure what the comment is. I don't know if it's a good or a bad comment. So I don't want to be thanking somebody for a comment that might be bad or something. But I do want to say hello to you. Should I say a first name or a last name? Hello, David. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so moving right along, let me give just a little bit of my own backstory so you guys can understand how it is that I believe at this point in life that I can recognize the difference in a good or evil or good or bad or nasty uh, a so-called church or religious person. It's because I was born into a family group that was already people that regularly attended a certain church denomination. Okay, Christians, and and that's I was born into that. So things that you're born into, you didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask somebody to whether it was consensual or not. You did not ask for somebody to connect, and boom, there you are, and there you are, and whatever situation, part of the continent, part of the earth, or part of that's what you're born into. And what I was born into was into a Christian family, attending church service so long. I was so hungry when I got home. Sometimes I'll be thinking to myself, well, I'm enjoying that song, or I understand that part of the what the preacher's preaching about, or Sunday school and choir was fun with kids, and sometimes we had to rehearse a little bit too long, and all of the different parts of different church programs and worship programs and different cultural beliefs. Well, they may not call it a church, it's something else, but all the different things they do. But the church I went to, I would be so hungry and sleepy by the time we got. I was like, you know what? I get it, but do we have to be here all day into the night? Okay. So the older I got, I started sneaking like a couple of bags of peanut M&Ms or something in my church. I was much older, like a teenager, because I ain't had the money. You couldn't give me a kid. You better not sneak no candy to the church house when you're a kid. You couldn't get beat to death. But as the older I got, I was like, you know what? You can't go to sleep, so you gotta make yourself stay awake because you can get somebody will pinch you, or you get slapped upside the head, or you get pinched on the leg where the other members can't see you being straight child abused. And your stomach be growling and everything where you can't hardly pay attention to whatever it is the teachings are, or the choir singing and carrying on. Anyway, I came from a full background of attending church service from birth. Just to let you guys know. I didn't just start understanding the Christian religion last week, okay? Or when I was 21 or whatever. No, I was born into it, right? So that has given me a long opportunity to be around people that profess to be spiritual, religious, whether it's Christian or something else, and in a religious environment, church buildings, plural, maybe switching a few different denominations still within Christianity, but say from Baptist to Methodist and United Methodist and so forth and so on. So I was born into that. So let's get that straight and moving right along, looking at the time on the video, because either to keep the video short, I'll stop the stream and then I'll pick up another video and still talking about the same subject. So when it's something serious like this, and I got a couple of examples to give you guys of some incidents that were horrific that happened to me in the church environment. This just may be, warning, disclaimer, this just may be a longer video. Okay. Instead of stopping and then starting another, and I'm talking about the same stuff. Okay. All right. So if you all don't mind. And then there's another, I can't, it's it looks like, I don't know, maybe it's a foreign name, so I can't pronounce it, but hi. And regardless of if I don't want to offend, and if I am, please forgive me. Apology in advance. I'm not sorry about what I have learned, what I believe, and what I think and feel. What I would be apologizing for is for someone me taking me the wrong way, or not feeling like I'm being neutral enough, or expressing myself with heart. So I'm just going to say hello to Capna. If I said that right, I hope so. Regardless of if you like the topic or not, or agree or not. So let's get on with it so we can know what you liking and not liking. Okay, so that's the backdrop of my uh, church experiences, as far as my history of me being a spiritual person. Woo, child, that could go on to the end of time. And we don't have that much time. And I'm a little bit thirsty because if you check a couple of videos ago, I was invited to join a bike club as a woman of color unexpectedly by a Caucasian white lady who was really sweet and nice, caught me off guard. And I was actually today practicing on a bike for the first time, in a good bike in a good while, to see how I could kind of navigate by myself before I join the bike club, because I want to make everybody fall. It appears, because I saw them not long ago, that I would be the only Black person in their bike club. And I don't want to, I'm already going to stick out like a sore thumb. I don't want to make everybody fall and everything, since I haven't ridden a bike in a long time. But it was such a nice invite. See what I'm talking about? I know I can't fix the world and make everybody happy and heal all racial and religious issues or whatever, but still, it was nice for her to invite me. I met her at the gym when I was in the sauna, to join their bike club. And I was trying to see if I was, you don't have to be great, but they ride up to 20 miles. And I was trying to see how I did on my bike today. And I did okay, but I'm sorry, I need a better seat, because that seat was uncomfortable. I don't know whether it's male or female. I don't know who is making these bike seats. Is it a robot that doesn't have skin or feelings? Or is it somebody that's mad at the world that makes bike seats? I'm not sure. But that was making it difficult. I had on some jeans. That probably, I should have put some sweats on. But it was mostly the bike seat hurt. I kind of kept lifting up, and I was like, really? How long been in a bike club? Knowing I can't ride, I can walk for miles. And every other couple of days, I try to walk up to 3 to 4 miles and all of that. And I do come from exercise and sports background. Now, they will get into that. But at the end of the day, the 20-mile bike club, if I can hang with them for a mile or two, a couple of miles, and then I'll be like, somehow to call somebody to come pick me up. So that didn't work out too good. So I'm a little parched, because that seat kept hurting my rear end and other parts. And it just, I was thinking to myself, I'm not fixing to sit up and hold these people up with their bike club, as much as I don't mind maybe joining in and having something to do outdoorsy twice a week. A wonderful invite, from someone from another race that didn't know me from anywhere, in the sauna at the gym. And I just like, you know what, I may have to put that off for right now until I can get a better bike seat, maybe a little bit more practice in, because the last thing I would want to do is join the bike club. And there we go. And maybe I'm going to accept the challenge and try to at least make it 5 miles before having to be picked up or whatever. And then I fall or whatever and make the whole bike club fall down and be like, you know what? They'd probably be like, see, this is what happens when you invite somebody of color to kind of join something. So I don't even want all those issues, but I do appreciate the invite, and I'm going to let her know that I'm working on it. I'll get back with them on that. So moving back to this. So we're going to move on from my born into the Christian religion, going to church service every week, hours on end or whatever. You guys get it. So I was able to see all aspects of, and be taught according to the teachings of the Bible, all aspects of what to do, what not to do, what to expect, what not to expect, in people's behavior, my own behavior as a little tyke coming up as a kid, and so forth and so on. So I would take those things, and I've taken those things through life. And as I've come across other people, whether they were a Christian or not, it just human behavior, let alone from a spiritual aspect, I've just been able to determine based on their treatment of me and their behavior, whether they're the same culture as myself or same race or not. Um, if they appear to be a good type of person or not, possessed by the devil himself. I don't know. So, anyway, moving on. Where's number three? Oh, it's back on my other card from the last video. Three. Ooh, I've gotten caught. And you know how the algorithms, I think, like on YouTube, I don't know, Facebook, wherever, if you watch certain things, then it was like sending you more stuff. Okay, I was trying to find some stuff to watch, like everybody else during the world pandemic, this and that, at home, people working from home, people lost their jobs, so they're at home, people moved in with somebody else. So just home, 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 Netflix, YouTube, this and that. And so there I was, trying to find something to look at over the weekend and a little bit last week because I had a hard week last week. I've had a hard life actually. But I had a hard week last week for a lot of reasons. We'll get to them too. Marcy talks about it, just about everything. And don't think I'm not going to talk about it because I am. I would try not to mention people's names because that's not what I'm here for, to drop names. If it's a public figure with their name and their bio and they're in Wikipedia and they're already out there, if I think it's necessary, I may get to that point. I may do that. I may drop a name. I may mention a name. But for the most part, again, this is more about neutrality and just sharing and talking. This is not about negativity and arguing and, dropping dimes on folks and all of that. That's not what this channel is about. It's more about getting along, neutrality, positivity, even in difficult subjects. Okay? All right. And trying to be helpful in some facet or another. Okay. So, oh yeah, the stuff I was looking, and then I guess my YouTube algorithm, um I was watching everything from the apocalypse, something about the apocalypse, to leaders lying to all people, so we all get ready or whatever, to blacks going back to Africa. I'm gonna get on that in a minute. That's gonna be another whole different video, but I'm gonna make a little quick point about the blacks going to Africa. I just want to mention the different types of videos that the algorithm was sending me and that I've been watching in the past several days, so you guys will kind of get, where my mindset is, and where my sharing and expression is coming from. Religious organizations having mind control over people. And I know the names of these religious organizations, but remember, I'm not trying to be messy or be offensive or whatever. So, you guys can either figure it out yourself or email me or ask what religious organization documentaries or YouTube videos was I watching, and so I can tell you. But I'm just not here to pit one against the other and be offensive and all that. That's not what this is about. So yeah, mind control. And now I can go into my current cue card. Okay. And then oh, wait a minute. There was some more. Oh, yeah. That was um, oh, well, and then I was watching this weekend. This is Tuesday, January the 18th. So actually, beyond the weekend. So yesterday and today, Monday and Tuesday, I'm like, this algorithm. It's like, can I get? I'm gonna have to go to Netflix and find a comedy movie or something because this. But I love documentaries, even the sad ones. From this to that. Oh please. I have a big heart and everything. I don't play with people, and you can't play with me. And I don't let people play with me. I don't let people play with my kids. You know what I'm saying? Take it to the streets. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm just talking about I will stand up for myself. And I believe in seeking justice, people standing up for their rights of all races, colors, creeds, sizes, height, rich, poor, whatever. You got to stand up for yourself as a human being because we are all human beings. So don't go there with me. Don't go there. But, I am. very goofy and heartfelt and warm and fuzzy. And that's where I predominantly am and like to stay. I was just making sure nobody gets it misunderstood because kindness can be taken for weakness, and weak I'm not. Okay? The glasses back on so I can see. Oh, oh my gosh. Like I said, the algorithms, next thing you know, oh my goodness, I was watching about some child. He has a really good channel, so I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning. It's called Forgotten Faces, and it's interesting. It's a gentleman that goes to graveyards and different parts of I don't know, the country or wherever, and he has already done the research apparently, and he brings remembrance back to whether it's, whether it was a woman, a man, a child, family, whatever, people that were unnecessarily harmed, murdered or whatever. And very interesting stories. And I watched some of his, quite a few of his YouTube videos from the weekend. And I think myself, okay, yeah, kind of gruesome, but very interesting. So it's called Forgotten Faces. And you should check him out and see, you know, because YouTubers that I watch, things that are interesting to me, I don't mind mentioning them to you guys and being supportive because it could be something on their channel that touches your heart. That's not on this channel. But anyway, oh my gosh, it went from that to um, uh, um, uh, children that Hitler talked to, because obviously there's a lot of pictures of him, greeting the children as a leader and this and that, and they're adults now. They're in their 80s, and they did a documentary, the children who met Hitler or something like that. Approximately, you have to Google it. Then it took me to another one about the children who were abducted from Poland. They're grown now, the survivors, abducted from Poland, and to be and parts of the Soviet Union, and one other place, to be turned into more German type, children or citizens, as acceptable German for the Aryan race, preferably more the blonde hair, blue eyes. But there was some, as long as they weren't, disabled or anything like that, then they got taken from their parents in again, Poland and parts of the Soviet Union and one other place, and literally given to, through adoption, their original names and birthdays erased. And there was some type of you have to Google it and you'll get the exact words. It was called Liblon or something like that. It was a program that was created to, kind of be an intermediate thing where there were orphanages, um, um, where they would be for a while, with their names and birthdays being changed, so that then the German families of different types, could come and adopt them, literally taken from their original homes when they were little kids. And then after the war, they were actually returned back to Poland and other places because they wanted their kids back, whether their parents were still alive or not, or whatever. Those children were abducted through this whole little program. They wanted back. So the documentary was for some of those children who are now in their 80s, as survivors, talking about all this stuff. And then, of course, documentaries are going to show pictures and archives, and some of them own their own photo albums. I don't think myself, oh, sad, whatever, and then it went from there. I was like, okay, look, folks murdered, and Hitler, and a child abducted. I was like, okay, I need some comedy. Or I need to go do me a YouTube video or something, because it was too much. So the whole point, again, the title is Nasty So-Called Church or Religious Folks. So I don't want us to lose sight of why did I title that. Okay, so going back to that is this. And I might as well say this so I can go and stay in that same little point. Within those documentaries that I watched today, about the abduction of the children to Germanize them. That's what it was called until the war was over, and then a lot of them they had to go back to where they came from, whether they had anyone or not. And then the what I got from that, other than the obvious horrors, watch it yourself and get whatever it is you get out of it. But I didn't enjoy it. That's for sure. I didn't get anything great, but there was a couple of positive things, and I wrote them down. Um, there was an older German adult woman, and to be honest with you, she was the daughter of the architect of the Hitler's estate in Berchtesgaden, in the compound, if you will, where the barracks for the soldiers and so forth and so on. She was the daughter of the architect, who was a nice man. He was not an SS soldier; he was an architect, literally. So he's the one that built that whole nice place. And so she did an interview, and she's up in age, she has grandchildren, whatever. And this is what she said without me quoting it. She said something like, because I put an older German woman, but that's who she is. An older German woman that met Hitler as a child, who was the architect's child, said, when you see something going bad, know it's bad. Don't try to ignore it. Don't ignore it. You see something going bad, don't, they're like, I don't do with that, or maybe not. No, if it's going bad, it's bad. That's what she said, without quoting her verbatim. Then there were several people giving interviews that that lived through this, and they're still alive in their 80s. There was another German man in his 80s, or higher. He said that he was very happy as a child. Kids, how they supposed to know what's going on? He was happy as a German child. He was happy to be learning stuff and being in the scouting and learning how to soldier and this and the camaraderie of the other little boys and all the little German stuff, and that was indoctrinating them obviously to become soldiers, and in the Hitler deal. And so he said he was like, yeah, this is fun. But he said after the war, and of course through his life, and he's an older man now, he said the bottom line is it was bad. See, as a child, not knowing what was going on and feeling camaraderie with all the other children, boys that were taken pretty early to train, kind of like Boy Scouting, but for training to be a soldier in war. They felt camaraderie. They felt nationalism. They felt pride. They were having fun, wrestling and learning and carrying on, kind of like the Boy Scouts, but on like next level, right? And he said he felt good as a child. He had a good childhood, but as an adult, learning what was going on for real and what had happened and the history of it all, and whatever, he just bottom line did. You don't need to make no excuses. It was bad. He just flat out said it was bad. You can watch the documentary, you see him saying himself. I'm just sharing. And then one other, a young German adult facilitator, I think, as a part of this documentary, because they kept kind of showing her. I think she was a part of helping make this documentary. She said something like that these people, these old people that were nothing but little bitty kids, during this time of Hitler times and all this kind of stuff, they didn't know any better, whatever, and they shouldn't bear any guilt in their older age. They're still alive, they survived all this stuff, the wars and whatnot. Any guilt, the word guilt, for what was going on around them and what was going on, to people being killed, from Jews to this to that, the whole hot total mess. Those children had no control over that. They were not being told what was going on. They had no knowledge over that. They were just children. And as adults, having had learned what really was going on, they shouldn't be carrying such heavy burdens with them, into their old age and for the rest of their life. But she said this as a young German adult. She said, not they should not have any guilt, but that she said we, as in I guess we, everybody or them or whoever, people in general and them in general, bear a responsibility of these things that happen so they won't happen to anybody else. And that's, well, makes sense to me. So anyway, I think that's, oh, and yeah, and this one lady, she was one of the children who was one of the stolen Polish children. Um, so this is how I wrote it. One of the stolen Polish children, who's of course an older lady now, during the Nazi child abductions, and you can just Google this stuff. This is not, I ain't make it up. No, I ain't be talking about I'm saying stuff. I mean, I'm sharing, but don't be saying I made it up. Google it, learn. Okay, during the Nazi child abduction, she still visits Germany. And they even said her story is positive, not because she got abducted from her parents, but her attitude and her demeanor. And she goes around talking about her life story. That's what she does, is a very positive, helpful thing to to students in German colleges and just around, between Poland and Germany and wherever else she goes, because she went back to Poland because they had to go back to Poland after the war, but she still visits Germany, even though she was born in Poland. She visits Germany because she loves Germany and Poland. The time she spent in Germany, she, even though she was abducted, she was a child. She was well cared for. She had a good time. She has fond memories of her childhood in Germany. She didn't know what was going on, and so she absolutely loves Germany. But she also loves Poland. That's her hometown. That's her home. That's where she was from. So she loves both. See how something horrible, can turn into something positive. And she feels that there's good and bad people everywhere. And she said that. I watched it on that documentary. I could almost quote her verbatim, pull that documentary up, the Nazi child abductions or whatever. And at the end, you will see that she said that. I'm still going to say I'm not quoting verbatim, but that's about close to what she said. And one of the narrators or facilitator had said as it was going off that that was a positive thing, that where she felt instead of negative about um, her time in Germany as an abducted child by the Nazis, she felt positive about it, but she also, was Polish, and she wanted, to go and speak about what happened to her, but speak as a Polish person that was raised for, I think, 4 years or more as a German, and to speak German and all of that. And she's continued to go to Germany because she likes both places. So something for her good came out of it, and that's why she likes to go around and talk about her life, because she wants people to feel the goodness, the neutrality, the positive in her own experience and healing out of what happened to her and many others. And many others may not feel so good about it or feel that it's a positive ending, or they may or may not like or have gone back to Germany. But for her story, that's how she feels about it, that she has two places that she feels basically is her home, and that is Poland and Germany. So that's what she got out of it. So that's a good thing, because there's so many things that weren't. Okay, so as you can see, any of you guys that are kind of smart out there, you're probably getting where I'm going, where she said that she feels that there's good and bad people everywhere. So you see the title of this um, video is, I titled it, Nasty So-Called Church or Religious Folks. Well, I had a bad dream this morning. I mean, it wasn't like the worst, like Nightmare on Elm Street times 10 or Michael Myers, Jason, or whatever, murderer. It wasn't that type of bad dream, but it was very negative. I was like, really? And when I woke up, it made me inspired that, you know what, I'm going to do a video for the channel today, and I'm going to speak on this topic. And this dream is inspiring me even more so to do so. And the bottom line is somehow I ended up happenstance in some little community, if you will. It was an all Black community. And I don't know if I was visiting somebody, or I don't know how I was a passer through, but some kind of way I wasn't a part of the community, even though I am a person of color. And these were all Black people. And I absolutely am not saying this to put Black people down, and I'm Black, because there are some Black people that put Black people down as if them being Black is not the elephant in the room. That's not me. I'm Black too. Okay. There's good and bad in all people. Remember that lady, the Polish lady who was abducted as a child, and so she loves Germany and Poland. There's good and bad in everybody, and all races and cultures and families and whatever. So, and we y'all already know that anyway, because y'all got kin folks and neighbors and friends. So y'all can absolutely stand in the same race y'all are, so don't even act. But anyway, the dream. I'm gonna sum it up for you, because you know how sometimes you can really remember your full dream. Sometimes you can remember that last little part. Um, I can actually remember more of it, but I'm only going to mention the part that relates more specifically to this, because there was some other things that led up to this scene. That was the last that I remember before I woke up, because I was too hot. I was like, oh, I need to turn the fan on. Burn up in here. So anyway, um, I ended up going to a church event, and the town, or the community, seemed a little not so well off, kind of, I wouldn't say poor, but I could tell everybody knew each other, kin folks, they grew up together. Um, I was the outsider. So that I remember that in a dream. Somehow I was passing through, visiting somebody or whatever, and they were going to have a church event, a church service event. Uh, and it was kind of more tent like, or part little building. It wasn't like a big brick building or whatever, giant, whatever. No, it was just like a little small, town, small little church event. And I don't know if it was kind of part, you might get a sermon out of it, or I didn't see a choir or anything like that, or part, because there was lots of baked goods, on a big old table when you walked in, and there were plenty of seats, and the seats were filled up, and there were two seats that didn't have anybody sitting in it, but somebody had their purse sitting in one, right? So here I come, the passer through, or the visitor or whatever, they were looking at me like I'm crazy. And so obviously there's only a seat or two left, and I was like, I pointed to the seat with the chair, and they like, oh yeah. I was like, like she was saving it for somebody else. And I said, oh my gosh, let's just leave one other seat. And then I went to the other seat that was open. I just flopped down there and I sat. And then apparently, I guess they was about to get the show on the road, or, get the service going or whatever. But you saw all these good, what was before all of us was stacks and stacks of cakes. It was almost like it was a kind of like a fundraiser, contest, how maybe who's gonna win, the title of the best cake or the best cupcakes or whatever, something like that. So I was thinking, I said, okay, we cake and cupcakes and chocolate cupcakes, some of everything. And it was just sitting right there in front, all of the people seated in the chairs and people sitting on the side. And I was thinking to myself, well, I don't know what kind of program this is, but I know I'm hungry and I want something that's on that table. I know what the rules are. So anyway, next thing you know, just to kind of close it, like, dreams, especially the part you remember at the end before you wake up, it'll be all over the place. Bottom line is, there was a young lady in the very back, and she screamed out. She was like, oh my gosh, my mom forgot to put her name on the cake she made, because somebody else made a cake identical to her mom's cake. I guess they just had their own little scratch touch on it or whatever, little small towns of people, whatever. And so, I looked back and everybody looked at her or whatever. And at that point, because I was sitting literally on the front row in front of all of these goodies and stuff, And I didn't really know what the rules were. And I know you're supposed to have manners and kind of see what's going on or whatever. But since she yelled that out, I figured I would be helpful. And I just stood up and it was the two. And she said, it's a white cake or whatever. Something. And then I looked and I saw two cakes the way she described. And I said, well, does it have this on it? And she was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And it was kind of like they weren't going to be able to be acknowledged or whatever. And I was like, oh, next thing you know, here she come running. And she and I were standing there, and it was a young lady. And she looked at the two cakes and she couldn't tell by the plates or nothing like that. And so I was like, well, I mean, why don't you just cut just like a tiny little piece? Because they had like knives and different things. And nobody had announced any rules or told us to sit down or anything like that. I wasn't sure what was going on. So I was like, well, before it gets going good, why don't you just a little tiny? And then you ought to know your mother's favorite cake. Like you yelled out from way back there. And she did just that. I don't know if I cut it or she cut it, but she was like, this is my mama's cake. This is my mom's cake. I was like, well, good. So this one is your mom's and move it over here and everybody's going to know the other one is whoever else has got their name on it. So she was all happy and everything or whatever. And I actually tasted a little piece of the cake because I was kind of hungry. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why, but I was hungry and I like sweets like everybody else. So I tasted a little bit of it and I was like, oh, okay, first of all, that wasn't all that. So I don't think she's going to win. And that didn't help my hunger at all. So she went back and sat down. I was thinking to myself while I was standing up there in front of all of these people at this little church tent, whatever, community, bake sale, fundraiser. I don't know. I was like, well, while I'm standing here and there's a whole bunch of stuff, it was just stuff everywhere, just sweets for days. I was like, well, surely it's not going to hurt since I'm right up front. If I just give me a little cupcake or something while I'm sitting here waiting on this to get started because I'm starving. And lo and behold, I went to grab like a cupcake, and the preacher of all people, don't touch that. He was sitting over in the corner. I didn't know. I didn't see him. He was sitting kind of away from everybody where you can see him kind of like on curtains or something. But I saw him sitting in a chair, and he was like, "Don't touch it." And I was like, oh, excuse." I was thinking to myself. I said, "Well, it was like droves of stuff." And I was like, "Well, sir, I'm a little bit hungry. I know you're not supposed to be disrespectful to a preacher. That's crazy. Of course, I told you I got a church background, but anyway." I guess my hunger was more than whatever was going on. I didn't even know what was going on. And then they had so much. I mean, really? And so there was no rules given. There was nobody standing at the announcement or whatever to say this, that, and the third. So I was like, what difference does it make? It's 1,000 cupcakes. So I'm just get one and sit my little behind down, just pinch off of it and be done. I ain't got to starve to death. We're supposed to be church Christians, whatever, some, religion, good people, whatever. So, oh, okay. I moved my arrow to something that gave that was unnecessary anyway on my computer. So, anywho, long story short, right? Why did this preacher pull out a gun when I went for the cupcake? Now I know this is a dream, but I'm gonna get to the real life thing real quick. I know this was just a dream, so I'm not promoting that preachers are running around pulling out guns on people behind cupcakes. I'm just saying, I've been meaning, and I have been discussing this type of topic with, family, that I can deal with, and so-called associates and so-called friends and folks for years about people acting up at the church service, not so-called the religion itself, but the person being a so-called spiritual or religious person and having bad behavior. Period. Just flat out evil in some cases. I'm gonna get to it in a minute. So I saw it was like a little pistol, and he showed it to me, and only I could see it because he was sitting way kind of in a corner with some curtains and stuff covering him, like he's gonna come out and be a part of the thing, like ta-da, okay, everybody, this is what we're gonna do. So he showed me this little pistol, and I was like, oh, really? Behind a cupcake? I said, what kind of preacher you supposed to be? I start talking to him. He's sitting way over there. And you doing I didn't say you pulled a gun, so everybody could hear it. I said, and you sitting up, um, see, of course, I have my phone hadn't rang in 2 days. Then you get a call while you're doing a live stream, right? Um, I'm almost finished a live stream. Can I call you back or is it an emergency? Okay, love you, bye. See how people do? That's why this can't be good afternoon. Falls. This can't be like Good Afternoon America or nothing like that because, I'm not a professional journalist and all that kind of stuff. And also, Marcy talks about it, just about everything. The phones ring and stuff, dropping, falling all on me. Oh, what a hot mess. Anyway, look, the bottom line is, I was like, that is inappropriate for a pre. This is my dream for you to be showing me that nobody else can't see because I'm trying to get this one cupcake and I'm about to starve to death. So I was like, I was like, I'm gonna get this cupcake. You're gonna shoot me. And then all of a sudden, it was another nice lady. I guess she was just trying to get me, ma'am, get you a cupcake and sit your behind down. I was like, thank you. And she came and I was like, and it was all different kinds and shapes and sizes. I was like, well, which one of these is the best? Just since you from here and stuff. Mochak, she said, those are really good. And they happen to be the real big one. And I was like, ooh, you're good. And I grabbed it and I sat myself down. And here come the preacher, reverend, whatever the leader. Here he come. He put here and put that gun back in his pocket. He was he said, I was looking at him kind of funny, but I was also picking on that cupcake. And I was thinking to myself, I gotta hear him get out of this town. Something wrong with these folks. Something wrong with him anyway. A cupcake. Anyway, so matter of fact, before he even came out where the people were, he put the gun back in his, I don't know, pants pocket or on his robe or whatever. And then he mouthed where I could tell he was saying, nah, I got something else for you. Whatever. I remember that just as clear as I am sitting here doing this YouTube video. I'm serious. Y'all probably be like, she is throw. I don't care if you think I'm throwing it out. And then it was a dream, but still, that was not nice. And then I think I woke up. So I go from that to this. That was a dream. Keep that in mind. A dream. A dream now. Oh, okay. I want to make sure so that when I say it is not my intention to offend, I am an encourager, a person that believes in neutrality, healing, and all of that. I want to share something real quick with you guys to show proof of such a thing, so that if there has been any people kind of like, what kind of title is that? Or is she tripping? Or here we go, somebody going against religious folks or against other people's cultures. No, I'm not. I want to share something with you guys. This is me when I was 23. Probably can't see it that good, but there we put it a little closer. Look at me. Do I look a whole lot different? Okay, we won't answer that. I don't know. Put something a little hair in my face and see. See? Well, y'all don't know how old I am now. I'm gonna end up sharing it with you, but that was a long time ago. Let's just put it like that. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have held it up so long. Y'all took pictures of it now. And that was during a time where this was 2 years later, because I was actually almost 8 months pregnant on this picture. Honey, this was during Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation or whatever. And honey, nobody couldn't tell me that, at least when I got fixed up, that I didn't look like Janet Jackson. So this my Janet Jackson look. And put that a little close. See how y'all see if y'all can see that. Look at me. I was at the club. And then I think it's Latoya that actually wore those hats, but that's my so-called, the Janet look, whatever. And more importantly, since I was talking about, the Hitler times in Germany and Poland and abducted children out of our show, don't want nobody tripping on all of that, because we all know that there's not good stories that came out of all that stuff. And watch the documentaries for yourself. You gotta just take my word for it or whatever. But guess what, guys? Just so that you understand how neutral I am, Um, and I only like to share my own personal experience. So I have to be getting into it with family members. Like, why you say my name? Well, I'm not fixing to do none of that again, unless I think it's totally necessary. But for people's privacy and things like that, no, I can just talk about me, my experiences, my life, what I think, what I feel, what I've heard in my own ears, what I've seen in my own eyes. Okay. But I have to share this. This was me when I was in Germany, when I had my baby, my first baby, at a German hospital. I'm not gonna tell you where in Germany, but that was me. I had my hair braided so it wouldn't be all wild and crazy. You have a baby, but I had a C-section. And that's my first little baby. And that's me having a baby at a German hospital when I was in Germany. You probably wondering what was I doing in Germany. We'll talk about it. And guess what? This was her being washed off by her German midwife. That midwife? Midwife. Her first little cleanup, my first little baby. Yes, I had a German midwife at the hospital. Not going to tell you her name either. I don't even know if she's still around. And she was so nice. Now, here's the special, special, special one so that everybody can understand when I say I am neutral, I have evidence of it. This, and I know she's no longer around just because the age she was way back then. And she was in her, I think, mid 70s. Sweet as buttercream. My godmother, because if you guys see the intro and the information about my childhood and me being an orphan, around, I guess, 1.5, and a child slave and abused. And I haven't even begun to tell that story. I just gave a few incidents and a little quick synopsis. But she was like a mother figure to me when I was in Germany. She was a German woman, a German senior citizen, and she had one daughter who, as a career, worked for Lufthansa as a flight attendant, the big jumbo, international flights. And she was not married. I think she had been widowed by the time I met her in her mid 70s, and I was in my early 20s. But she was like a mother figure to me and a friend. I don't know where I met her, maybe at a German store or something. I don't know. Because I lived in a German town and I rented a place from the what's called the Burgermeister, which was the mayor of the town who owned the bank, and I think he owned the town. And he was like on 102 years old, and he rode his bike. He didn't own a car. He rode his bike every day to work at the bank that he owned, probably just to be there and oversee things. And he was very nice, and he can speak any English, and I can speak German well. And so every day for those couple of years that he would be coming out when I was getting ready to leave out, he would say, Guten Morgen. And I would say, Guten Morgen. And then when I would see him in the afternoon, maybe I'd be taking a walk or he'd be coming back home from the bank. Guten Abend. And I would say, Guten Abend. And we did that the whole time I was there. That man and I never said more than those greetings. And he was just as friendly and nice as he could be, but because we had the language barrier, Guten Morgen, Guten Abend. And that was it. We even say Guten Night because he didn't come out at night. He was 100 and some years old. So it was good morning and good afternoon and goodbye when I moved and left and came back to the States. But I'm going to show you guys, share. This is really sharing. Some things I'll get, personal, and some stuff you don't want to get too personal. Overshare. And some things I will overshare. But I have to share with you guys my German mother figure, godmother for me, because she became a godmother for my baby, for my first baby girl. Oh, that was me at the German hospital. Look at her. I met her at Shopping Plaza when my baby was about, I think she was about maybe, I don't know, a month or two. What is that, 2 months old, 3 months old? And she couldn't wait to see her and hold her and hug her and kiss her and everything. And I don't want to tell you guys her name. And I know she's probably long gone from this earth. Rest in peace. But I can tell you this because she has a really pretty name. Instead of giving you her full name, because I don't need nobody doing ancestry.com on a lady, okay? And then her family getting mad at me, like, why you getting my mama information all on YouTube? Where her first name was Lisa. I used to say Lisa Litt, but I think it was Lisa Latte. Lisa Latte. You know, German style or whatever. I can spell it. Because even when I left, we wrote each other and everything. And then when I didn't get any more letters, I figured that, she had passed away. But that was my German grandma. Well, my mother figure. So if anybody thinks for one split second that just because I brought up the Nazi abductions, because I was watching a documentary, because the algorithms kept sending me all kind of stuff, and this, that, and the third, that I'm trying to, put something negative out into the atmosphere, whatever, cut it out. I've already said that it is my intention, no matter the topic, to express myself with neutrality and respect, whether you like the title or the topic, or it's a sad or a serious topic or not. I love all peoples. That picture is, so it'll give a better idea of my age. This picture is approximately 30 years old. Okay. All right. So don't judge the book by its cover. I am authentically me. I am authentically Black with Cherokee and whatever other mixtures from the descendants of diaspora of slaves in America or whatever. But mostly, I obviously Black with Cherokee, and the rest of it, who the heckity poo knows? Okay? But it does not mean that I cannot love, respect, and care about others just because I love my own people, Black people. Okay? So that's is neutral. You can't get any more neutral than that. Loving and caring and empathizing and being concerned about people of all walks of life, all cultures, rich or poor. You don't hear that often, but you heard it from me. Who? Marcy talks about it, just about everything. So let's wrap this up. It's been an hour and 17 minutes. This is my longest video. So when you guys see the title and you see the time, you'll understand that this was kind of one of those topics that could go south. But the way that I am trying to present it, I'm trying to present it in such a way that it's just more educational and informational, and looking for any measure of not only equality but healing, because you don't hear that you hear people talk about healing, but you don't hear people working on it, whether they're leaders in uh, um, wealthy fields of career, albeit entertainment, sports, politics, religious circles, or whatever. You hear people mention um, healing or some form of recovery or whatever. Where's the work? Where are the suggestions that are then action put behind them? Where is it? It's right here. If it has to start with me or continue with me from the few others out there, then that's where it is. Because talk is cheap. Action speaks louder than words. Now, what's left on this cue card? Ah, okay, that's it. Well, then this is an hour and 19 minutes so far. I should be able to stop this at an hour and a half. I'm going to try to talk real fast because I know these incidents like the back of my hand. Okay, so if anybody is so far having a problem with whether or not I am, oh hi, another maybe foreign name. So I'll just say the first part of it. Kissing. If I'm messing up foreign names, please forgive me because I did not say on a couple of videos ago the only language I speak is mine. Okay, and that includes made up words, street dialect, ebonics. I'm tired. Sit back in my chair. All kind of language that's just my own language. Okay, my own self expression. That's my language. Okay, but hi. Okay, so ooh. If anybody thinks that I am pointing out a specific race or church denomination, you're wrong. Because you're about to hear two ugly examples of horrific treatment at church service. In this case, one was a Baptist church and another one was a Church of Christ. So does that mean all Baptist churches are bad? No. And all people are no. Does it mean all Church of Christ are bad and all people? No. This is just where it happened. And I have witnesses. Come on. I'm not fixing to lie on nobody, but and it happened to me. So let's get on it. It might go past an hour and 30 minutes, but I don't want to go into the next video and be, well, actually I could go into the next video and say what the two incidents were. But let's just finish this. Let's just finish it. That way, if you watch this, you can hit pause, go vacuum, go bake some cookies or whatever. Let's just get this over with. Because this title, I know is not a positive title to religious groups and spiritual people and all of that. But as I've explained myself, you can understand better where the title comes from. And when I tell you about these two horrible incidents that happened to me, and actually it's three of them, but I just put two. But I'm talking about they just stand out in my head forever and a day. I forgive them, but I still can remember what happened. Anyway, so if I go in chronological order, then of the three incidents, let me talk as fast as possible. If I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry. One, I was at, I believe it was a Baptist church, all Black people, all Blacks, all Black community, all Black everything, all Black district. I'm not going to tell you what city or what state. And I was going to that church as a visitor for quite some time. I would say at least a year or two with my first daughter. And she was only about, 4 or 5 or something like that. Maybe, between 4 and 6. And she was so lonely because, hi, Maka Pin. She was so lonely as an only child and getting on my nerves, wanting me to play tea parties. And I was thinking to myself, I don't plan on having one child, but I didn't. Nobody warn me about how lonely. So if you feed them, you buy them toys, you teach them, they got videos, you hug them, you love on them and everything. That should be good. I didn't know that I was going to have to turn into a child again because I only had one. Oh my gosh, only children, they get so lonely. And I'm like, ooh, I'm not trying to have another one just because she's lonely. So they had an adopt a girl drive at this big kind of size Baptist church many years back, and where you could just kind of sponsor a girl. And I thought that would be perfect because you didn't have to like, adopt them to your home. You were just sponsoring another little girl to kind of mentor them and so forth. And I thought that would be perfect because the girls ranged in age from like 6 to 12. So I was like, that would be like a big sister for my 5, 6 year old or whatever, so she can stop getting on my dad blasted nerves, trying to get me to play with her for 2 seconds. And as usual, I'm always running late, for something. Hi, the next person. Look, by the time I finish, I'm just gonna say hi. Next person that went on there. Um, the ooh, oh yeah, so sponsor the child. Oh, I was like, this is the answer because I was divorced by then. So I was like, well, it's just she and I. And so this will be perfect because I can mentor a girl. And then at the same time, she can be, like someone to be with my only little girl, and this would be the perfect fit. And they had like a time frame for you to sign up, and you had to fill out like a pink, I think it was a pink slip or paperwork or whatever, and by a certain date. So we went to the last church service of the last date that you could sponsor this child. I had 1,000 things going on or whatever. I'm trying to make no excuse, but anyway, it was hard for me raising a child by myself after divorce. I was kind of young at that time and away from home and stuff, and I didn't have family there and friends really or whatever, so I was doing the best I could what I had. I had to work and commute. Anyway, it's a long story. So here I am sitting in the church listening to the service and the choir and this and the third, and then the lady got up that makes announcements. She was like the last, I think the preacher told the lady, tell everybody, go announce this is the last day to sign up to sponsor a girl. And I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get that girl so I can sponsor her, so I can sponsor a child. And I really did want to mentor a child. And I really did want that mentor child to be a part of my little family household nucleus of me and my 6 year old daughter, or 5, 6 year old daughter. And I panicked. I was like, ooh, I got to fill out those forms. They say they're going to be in the back as you leave out. As long as you get it and turn it in to Miss So and So, and you be signed up, they'll be able to, they'll match you up with a child. And then you on the form it said what age were you looking for, and I can't remember if I put 8 or 10, but I didn't want it to be too many years over my 5 or 6 year old. Take a deep breath because it's kind of these are true stories. So it bring back some bad haunting memories. I had to take a deep breath so I don't have too much anxiety. Pretty parched. I don't need anxiety too. So let's keep going and get this video done. It was a long video. Ooh. It's a shame before God. I have to go and say it because I know what happened and I remembered it in my head and I'm going to share it with y'all real quick. And that's going to be the end of the first one. And it's just a shame. But anyway, let's just sit back up so we can get it shared. Do y'all know that there I went? I had someone else that I knew that I was sitting next to, that I kind of got used to sitting next to, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go and the forms that are out in the back at the table, like when you enter the church from the back way, and I was hurry up and go fill it out so I can turn it into that lady so I can sponsor again. She was like, I'll watch your little girl, she'll be safe sitting right here, whatever. I was like, oh, okay, and I never leave my kids nowhere, but I was so desperate to get that form filled out to that lady, and I did. It was used to the lady that I was sitting next to in church. So I was like, okay, well, thank you, whatever. And it was an older lady. So I ran. I got to the back where the table was with the pink form, the slips, to pick your girl and fill out your contact information, whatever. And it was a very well-dressed, up-to-do another member of the church. I hadn't yet. And that's the day that that is actually the day that I joined the church. I think after I'd been going there, church denominational service, I've been going there for maybe like a year or so, and I finally felt like this is going to be our place of worship, and look at what the devil incarnate sit up and did. I ran back there, and this lady, she had the whole scenario. I mean, the suit, the power suit. It was pink. The pink had that matches, the ring, everything. She was just powered down. I was like, ooh, a fancy church lady. I was younger still and this and that. And so I panicked because I realized in my little bag I didn't have nobody's pen, and they didn't have any pens left on. I guess people had filled it out and taken the pens with them because they had said that they were slips and pencils or pens or whatever in the back. No pen to be found. I was like, the lady who's taking these up is going to leave, and I panicked or whatever. And Miss Well-to-do, right? I'm thinking, well, thank God, thank goodness, there's somebody else back here, another, Christian member, another church member, whatever. And since she was older than me, much, an elder, and out of respect for my elders, I just kind of stood there and I was like, and she was, had her lip all twisted out, and she got a paper and she was filling it out real slow, but she took her little pen out. And I said, ma'am, when you're done with your pen, may I please use it? She looked at me, frowned up real bad, and she just kept filling out her little part. And I was thinking to myself, should I run back inside and try to go locate a pen for one of the ushers or somebody, or should I stand because I'm gonna miss the deadline? So I was like, surely, if this is important to her, she knows it's important to me. There was nobody else out in the hallway, the area. Important to me. So even though she's seeming very rude and mean and unkind, surely she's gonna let me use her pen. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Well, let me tell you, since you're thinking it already, because of the way I'm responding. I said nasty in the title. I meant it. And I still mean it because I still see it. So you nasty so-called Christian, religion, church folks, other whatever it is, and you supposed to be a good person and a spiritual person, a religious person. I'm telling you right now, stop being mean and ugly and nasty towards people, because you are either so-called, or if you professing that religion or that spirituality, you are putting a bad look on it and a bad look on yourself. And not necessarily, especially to somebody that may be interested in your belief system or your denomination or your culture or whatever it is. And your bad, nasty behavior is hurting people and mistreating people, and it's just giving a bad rap. And I mean it, and I'm telling about it, and I still mean it to this dad blasted day. Just straighten it up. But anyway, she finished filling out that little thing, and I reached for her pen, and she looked at me and she said, and stuck her pen in her little clutch bag, because clutch bags were in it at that time. Do you know she walked away and left me there standing by myself? Most people had left. I heard cars leaving. You know how very fast people leave the church. They don't hug the kid before COVID. Way back then, you doing okay, girl? Anyway, people, rocks, one of them gravel parking lots that's not paved. Your tires screeching, rock folks trying to hurry up and get home, either watch a game or get their food out the crock pot, whatever. Y'all already know. And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's like leaving. This is a mess. That lady that's over the sponsorship thing, y'all get it. It was a hot mess. I was just, I felt like, I was gonna have like a little slight panic attack or something like that, because I said, "Ma'am," she walked right through those double doors and left me standing there, and it was so unbelievably witchy poo, so evil, so cruel, so unnecessary, so nasty, so ugh. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then I hurried and ran and looked, that church was empty. I was like, I missed the opportunity to fill out the thing. And I was a person that always had a pen on me. Always. But not at that time. And it was nobody left in the church except for that lady. She was up there holding with my daughter with her. And the other lady that took up the slips, that she was long gone. The preacher, everybody, the choir, everybody was gone. And I was just so disappointed. And I had already told my daughter about the little girl and stuff too, so I was disappointed about that. And I was disappointed about that, and had to explain to her that, well, we'll meet some friends or whatever. And I just thought, what in that highly profile, high status, she had, it was people there with money, and then you had your regular people. Oh, she was one of the money ones. But other than being well off, what was in her? She didn't know me from anywhere. I'd only been going there a year, and it was pretty big size, where nobody really, could pay no attention to you. I didn't sing in the choir, nothing like that. I was just a little regular, little visit with my little daughter. That lady didn't know me from nowhere. I hadn't done anything wrong to anybody. So I just had to wonder, what was in her? What was in her? This was about sponsoring a child, mentoring children. What was in her? And it wasn't like a pen, like when the presidents be signing stuff at the White House. It was literally like now they're at the dollar store, but it was like an Office Depot pen. It was just one of those regular pens. I'm thinking to myself, is she kidding? She wasn't. It's a devil incarnate. To this day, I'll never be able to understand that, other than straight up evil or so. I don't know. I didn't get to fill that paper out. I didn't get to sponsor a child, a girl, a little girl. And I was such the right type of person. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink, do nothing. I had a decent job, even though I didn't have friends. I didn't have family there. But I was, of course, I had a little girl too. But it wasn't just about getting her somebody. I just was just am, and what a loving enough person and safe enough person to be able to safely sponsor somebody else's daughter and be a part of her growth and whatever. And I will never know what I could have contributed to that child's life, because this stank attitude, supposed to be so-called religious person, so-called Christian, so-called church person, so-called, refused in such an ugly manner to share her pen with me. Anyway, next. Oh, do I have to put my glasses on for the next one? Going in chronological order. Ooh, this is big. Okay. This next church thing, I'm really going to have to speed this one up. It's so crazy and ugly and throat. And if you don't know what thrown means, it means thrown off. Like it's so bad, it either needs to be thrown off a cliff, or the behavior or the conduct is so unreal that you don't have words for it, other than it being something that needs to be thrown in the trash or whatever. So you just kind of shorten and just say, ooh, that's thrown off. Or that person's behavior, they're acting thrown or throwed. So if you hear me say throwed or throw, that's what that means, okay? It was so thrown off of a throw. She was so throwed. Check this out. Peep this, right? Ooh. I was at a different Baptist church. I'm not going to tell you the city or place. This is a church that I had visited and then ended up becoming a member within about a 3-year period. I joined the choir, and that just got the whole participation thing, right? Going to Sunday school, Bible study, the whole nine thing. One day, because I was always late because I had little kids, and the choir was the older adult choir, and I was the youngest person in the choir with little kids still. These people's kids were either much older kids, teenagers, or grown and gone. And that's not an excuse to be running late, but I just was a late runner, trying to get kids and pre-K, whatever, kindergarten, flying out here, flying in the choir rehearsal 5, 10, 15 minutes late. And I would apologize like, oh, but I caught on fast. I was a fast learner. I learned the songs, I knew my part, and if they were already finished with, the director kind of opening up the choir rehearsal, and people maybe mentioning, something that happened to them good that week, or something that needed prayer or whatever, I may have missed that part. But I came running right in, and I had my daughter with me, and I think she was she had a little book bag on. She might have been in between at that time. Ooh, pre-K, first grade. That's my second daughter, and but she was like 4. She had just turned 4. So she was just sitting on, we were in the sanctuary practicing. There are churches, buildings, and denominations where the choir can practice in another location, because the sanctuary is considered, the house of worship, the part of worship, so holy and everything. So they don't really like to mess with that. They don't have it messed up before Sunday. But we were such a huge choir, we practiced in the sanctuary. And so she was sitting on one of the front pew, and I would have her coloring while we were up there, and we were a humongous choir. And I was over on the side equal to her, because I'm an altoist by nature, even though my voice has grown into second soprano, and so I can do some first soprano, and of course some tenor or whatever. So I've probably got, depending on a good day, at least a 5 to 6 octave range voice, believe it or not. But we'll let you guys be the judge of that at some point, right? But anyway, we're back to this. So I come running in there late, making sure the child was seated, flopped down in my assigned seat, oh Lord, forgive me, I'm so sorry I'm late. As you, folks used to it just ignored me, because they knew, I was a good singer, a fast learner, and a good person, and friendly and professional to everybody. And the director acknowledged, "How you doing?" Kind of like, "Yeah, we know you come flying in here late, but you here." And he would say, if they had already made it past the intro part of a prayer request or a good report, and they had already gone over maybe one bar, if you will, of, especially if it was a new song, then I know that may have felt inconvenient to other people, but he knew that I was such, a quick picker upper, that he would say, "But you'll get it." He was like, "So we're going to do the run through, and what we said was this, and that's how we do. So now let's do it, let everybody do it again," or whatever. Or he was like, "Well, do you have a quick, something you want to say or whatever?" So that was very respectful for him, because something bad could happen to me that week where I wanted prayer or whatever. And he gave me that opportunity, even though I was late. I sit up and said, from the bottom of my heartfelt apologies to the entire choir and everybody for my consistent running, 5 to 15 minutes late, and how much I loved being in the choir, and how much I really, really loved, being there, and was so sorry, because I knew that could be a little throw off, with me racing in there 5, 10, 15 minutes late all the time. And that for them to pray for me for that, and for anything going on in my life that was kind of having me like that, which was really me being unsupported mom, and divorced mom. That's really what it was. And commuting to work, clean across town and all that kind of stuff. So, and that I would work on it so that it wouldn't be an issue. And that's all I have to say, right? For some strange reason, this 70-something-year-old lady apparently took my apology all wrong, all out of context, as if I was only talking to her. Why? Because I do recall when I went running in and flopped in my seat, and I just looked in the direction of the director and just kind of towards the choir, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I was just kind of looking at everybody. She leaned over and looked at me and gave me a dirty look, like, "Oh, police, here she come again." Everybody else just kind of was like, "Oh, girl, you good, Child, please praise the Lord. You know, and when I said my apology, it was like, oh, you know, bless you, whatever, praise the Lord. But she is the only person. It probably was a 60-person choir, seven. That's a lot of people that literally leaned and looked my way, and we made eye contact. And she was like, and so I was kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, whatever. Apparently she upset about something, or she looking at me like, child, please, you always late. But I wasn't concerning myself with her. I gave a kind of an in general apology. Next thing I know, we had started with the song or whatever. He only went back over the one bar. I got it, boom, and choir rehearsal was on its way, right? Next thing you know, she gonna holler out, I know you weren't talking to me. Somebody 70 something years old when I don't know if I was in my late 20s or maybe early 30s. Okay, am I giving my age away? Who cares? Okay, age ain't nothing but a number or whatever. If I got age, that means I'm still alive. So look, uh, she yelled out, I know you ain't trying to put me on the spot. And she called my name, and I was thinking to myself, no, she didn't call my name. She just yelled that out in my direction. She leaned back over. And I kind of scooped back in my chair because I didn't even know the lady's name. I didn't even know most of the people's names in the choir. Because of that church, it was old, had been there for 100 years. And a lot of those people were kin to each other, neighbors and all that. I didn't have any family there. So, because I moved away from home. So I leaned back kind of like, okay, I know she looked at me and rolled her eyes at me when I was late, but is she really talking to me? Did she bust out while we already starting to sing and stuff? Talking about she, no, you know, like we straight taking it to the streets, like we're gonna have a street fight. So I kind of did like this. And then she said, I'm talking to you with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, in the church sanctuary. I've never seen such. I was like, Jesus, keep me near the cross. So I looked back down towards her way, and I was raised to respect my elders, and I still do to this day. It could be an elder sibling. It's just that if we can't get along, then we got to limit our time, long handle spoon, whatever. But I'm going to respect people that are older than me. Period. Point blank. Neighbors, elders, people at the library. I don't care. The grocery store. If you're older than me, you're going to get my respect. You're younger than me, you're going to get my respect, but I respect you to respect me being older than you. That's just how that works. Customer service, whoever. I call customer service, and I can tell that you about 18 or 19 and you working customer service, and I'm the age I am, and you get to talking a little swang. I'm gonna be like, excuse me, young lady or young man, who you talking to? Who do you think you? First of all, you're being unprofessional at work. Second of all, I can tell I'm older than you. I've earned my time. Don't talk to me any kind of way you've been unprofessional. Put somebody else on the line. Pick up somebody else in the queue that's waiting and send me to somebody else. Or put your supervisor on the line. You're not going to disrespect me. I wasn't disrespecting you. So anyway, respect of elders, right? This lady was in her 70s. But since she wanted to get with me, and my little child was sitting right up there, I looked down her way, and she was all bug out there. I was like, oh my gosh, is this really going on in a church sanctuary? I was in shockaroo. That's a shockaroo. That's a word I got from one of my old funny fun neighbors, and she would always use that word. Oh my gosh, a total shockaroo. It was a white lady with red hair. And she wore red fingernails, polished all the time, and I think a little. And she got a red lipstick, and she finally got it permanent red. And she was the most fun, crazy person on earth. And I miss her to this day. I wish she was my neighbor now, but I moved from that city. But she was saying, "Ooh, what a shockaroo!" So here we go with the shockaroo, because this was a shockaroo in this choir rehearsal, right? So I think to myself, all of a sudden she kind of made me. I didn't totally lose that respect to elder, but she kind of made me feel one of them take it to the street moments. She was giving me some taking it to the street vibes, right? So we was looking at each other crazy and stuff. And the choir director was like, now. And I was like, well, I didn't say anything, sir. And she was like, I said, she was like, get with me. And so I was thinking to myself, and ooh, people act like that in their 70s. That's like grandma baking cookies. She wasn't trying to bake no cookies. She was trying to get with me in front of all of those people and stuff. And so I couldn't believe it. I was like, Lord, please help us today. We're gonna trade the hell in the handbasket. So she was like, yeah, I'm talking to you. And I was like, well, you can't be talking to me because I wasn't talking to you. I haven't done anything to you or whatever. So I kind of started getting with her in the sanctuary. And I think myself, see, I was raised better than this. Be acting all like this at church. So anyway, long story short, because I might as well get it out. This be one of them. I don't watch 3-hour videos, okay? So pause or whatever, share, well, I don't know. I got to get it out. So the choir director was like, now, ladies, now. I was like, when she started, she was like, he was like, that's enough. So out of respect for the rest of the choir, the church, the sanctuary, my child sitting out there, and the fact that we need to get on with rehearsal, I shut my mouth. I was like, okay, sir, and I sat there and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what's wrong with her. She better stop tripping because I respect my elders, but she acting like she want to take something to the streets, and I'm not a violent person or nothing like that, but I'm not the one. She like a buck 02 and I'm like a buck 52. And it is like zero competition. And she's an elder. She's a senior citizen. She needs to stop tripping because we're not even talking about her, to her, nothing her. I didn't even know her. I didn't even know her name. I still don't. Okay? I have to look back at some old emails or whatever because I emailed the preacher with everybody. He didn't say a darn word. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying about so-called stuff? But I ain't going to go there. That's another video. Preachers and stuff, that's another video. Lord help us, please, today and tomorrow. And there's some good preachers, but that's another video. Y'all know it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. A lot of y'all know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So anyway, moving on to this incident because it got real crazy. So we finished. We went on with choir rehearsal. All the songs. So I felt good. This choir was one of the best choirs ever on earth. Why they did, and I asked the choir director, "Are y'all gonna ever record demos or whatever, or become like?" He was like, "Nope." I was like myself, what did they all sign a contract that they could sound wonderful and never want to? Not so much as making money, but for the world to hear this choir. This was one of the most excellent choir. I was so proud, so happy and joyous to be a part of this choir because these folks, including myself, goes not sang, honey, sang. And it was like a 60, 70 member deep, a big mass choir, like the Kirk Franklin, them people, God's property, whatever they call it. One of them type. I was like, well, my y'all, we didn't make a CD. This is great. He was like, nope. I was like, oh, let me leave that alone. It must be something was already discussed before my little behind have to cross this city once again to join the choir, join the church, and all of that. So I don't have no say so. So let me just sing and shut up, right? Choir rehearsal ended. I know this has now become a long video, but for anybody that watches any aspect of it, I hope that you can relate. It's simple as that. And appreciate my forthcomingness as a Christian person, as a religious person, not a perfect person. I'm a sinner saved by grace. None of us are perfect. I'm not better than anyone else. Nobody is better than me as far as I'm concerned. But we are to be perfect like Christ, but none of us are. But I'm just sharing something that awful that happened to me, and then some of this awful behavior from people that call themselves religious, spiritual, acting insane, and not like in a mental health way. Hopefully not. I'm talking about evil. So anyway, choir rehearsal done. I started grabbing my little purse or whatever, and I pointed to my daughter sitting right out there in the front row. And I get your little book bag and just 4 year, they still kind of like, and I said, and just meet mommy, you know, because the choir, if most people know how most church buildings are made, the choir part, there's stairs to go down and then a door on each side so that people can filter out like that, right? So I was beckoning for her as usual. Just meet mommy right here, and mommy's gonna. Next thing I know, within seconds of me beckoning to her, gonna meet me, meet mommy, whatever. I felt a pull, a yank, and I don't know what was going on. Did the ghost of Christmas past yank me or what? I don't know what's going on. I got yanked back over the seat, and I turned to look. It was that lady. It was that 70-something-year-old lady. I was like, "Woo, Jesus, take the wheel." That had never happened to me before in my life. I was abused like nobody's business as a child. But I said because of that abuse, no grown person was going to put their hands on me because my people, a grown person put their hands on me, my childhood. So I was like, when I get grown, ain't no grown person, if I can help it, gonna put their hands on me. I already been through that as a child. An abused child, a child slave. She yanked me. I looked and it was that lady. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, she done lost her mind. And what made it so bad, most of the choir was still in the stand. They were just kind of yip yapping and talking and stuff. They obviously knew this lady had that type of demeanor or whatever. They all knew each other. Some people had already kind of started dissipating, leaving down the stairs on both sides. But it was still people kind of around me. And I was looking at them like, did y'all see this here? This lady's snatching me over the chair. And I'm thinking to myself, and then she was a really small, tiny elderly woman. So it's not like she was big, brutish, or whatever, and she just choked me. But I was just in a shock of root, right? And nobody said a word. Nobody laughed. Nobody cried. Nobody said, stop, Miss So-and-so, or settle down, or whatever. It was like mom's. I think I was kind of looking around. I was shocked at that. Then I was looking around at these other people that I have come to know. Excuse me, and sit next to and altos, all in harmony and stuff, singing and carrying on, having a great time, not only during choir rehearsal, but on Sunday mornings, just joy, just like the heavenly angel. And I'm looking at these people like, it screws me, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing to this wicked witch of the West in the choir stand, like she's hell on wheels, snatching me, putting her hands on me like she crazy. Nobody said a word. The choir director, nobody. I was just kind of like, okay. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let that one go because maybe she was just having a moment. I said, keep your hands on because I wasn't afraid of her. Like I said, she weighed about 90 something pounds. She was a small little older lady. I think to myself, I'm not into violence. I'm not animalistic. I'm a human. I do not, much as I know how to defend myself, trust and believe I do, physically and with weaponry, licensed, registered. But I'm a lover, not a fighter. So, anywho, I turned my back on her. I was like, and by that time, my little 4-year-old had, my cheeks, they so daggone big. And then when I do this, I'm like, really? Okay, let me get past looking in the computer as a mirror. Okay, so here she comes with her little cute little pink book bag and her little color books and stuff. Do you know? Next thing you know, I'm like, "Come on, baby," and I'm ignoring the heck out of this lady. I'm thinking she done went on out the other side, and I got my back turned. I'm like, "Come on, baby, let's get ready to go." And there's still a couple of people. I'm talking with them and stuff, and we're like, "Okay, we'll see you next week, girl. See you Sunday. Blah blah blah." And we getting ready to go. Next thing you know, I had my hands on around on my daughter's arm, my 4-year-old, and next thing you know, we both got jerked back. That senior lady snatched me again, my arm. And because I wasn't expecting, I had my back turned, I had my hand on my baby, it snatched my baby. How many of y'all out there can relate to somebody bothering you when you haven't touched them and put their hands on you? Slash, you got your baby with you. And slash, I mean, she wasn't killing me, but that's assault. It's against the law. But then they snatching your child with you, a 4-year-old in whatever pre-K, wherever they be at home, somewhere, learning, about to learn, depending on the late birthday. How many of you all can relate to what I must have been feeling or thinking when I looked at this woman for the again, and she done snatched me and my child back over the seat. Lord help me get through this YouTube live. See, it's bringing back memories. I gotta get through it. Get to it. Get through it. Paul, take 5 deep breaths to calm down. I just took 2 for the sake of time. We already at 2 minutes. See, yes, this could have been like 3 or 4 different videos split up, but look at what I'm talking about. Look at the subject. So I might as well get it out. Either you watch it or you don't. Y'all know what a lot of y'all would have did. Somebody would have got a black eye. Somebody would have went to jail. Somebody might not would have survived. And on and on and on. But I'm a good person. I believe violence is animalistic and humans, remember I said that at the beginning? Humans in the hierarchy. Outside of self-defense from a wild animal or a wild human, humans are supposed to be using this because that's why we were given a mind to think and to allow it to help us with self-control and so forth and so on over how animals act and react. We're not supposed to be acting like animals. So when she did that and it snatched me the second time and my little 4-year-old, and then she started crying. Let me get my fan again. How many of you mothers out there can relate to if somebody does something to cause your child, especially a little child, any age, but especially a little child to start crying? How many of y'all can relate? Let me put my fan down because you already know what I'm talking about. We're not going to go there. Honey, when she did that, the mother bear instinct in me kicked in, but I still realized I was in a house of worship. I still realized I was around other people that were supposed to be spiritual minded people. I still realized she was in her 70s and a much senior citizen elder to me. And I still realized that I was big enough and strong enough to beat her freaking behind. So she put me in a very precarious situation. Spiritually, legally, emotionally, physically, all kind of leads. Bruce Lee. So anyway, I hurry up and turned around and I said, I'm fixing to go. Don't touch me again. I don't know what the issue is or whatever. Like, you point me all out in front of her. I was like, I wasn't talking to you. I was apologizing to everybody for me running late. What is your problem? I was like, leave me alone. I'm going to get my baby and we leaving. Bye. Boo. Still, nobody told her to settle down. Nobody. See what I'm talking about? Some church folks. Some church folks. See what I'm talking about? Some church folks. Anyway, I turned my back on her again. I grabbed my daughter. I was pissed. And we went on down the stairs and out the door. Do you know she ran down the other side of the stairs? Ran around. I was talking to people. Bye, y'all. See, I think myself, let me go into my car because this kind of been an experience, and I need to get this child home so I can get home and do what I got to do with life. Okay, this was not a real good experience, but at least we had a good choir. So let me go. Next thing I know, here she come again in the foyer with other people there. We the folks is leaving, trying to get to the door. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, really, this lady is too much. So she was like, oh, who you think you are? Whatever. You gonna listen to me? You gonna talk to me? I said, no, I'm not. And I was the whole time I'm thinking I was taught to respect my elders, senior citizens. This lady is off the chain, meaning chain. She's off the chain. She's out of control. Nobody is stopping her. Nobody is restraining her. Nobody is saying, Miss So-and-so, you need to come over here and sit down and calm down. Nobody's running to go get the preacher who was there because he always comes into that choir rehearsal and speaks to all of us and listen to a few of the first part of the song he enjoys so much. Then he goes straight to his office, which is right around the corner from the sanctuary. So I know he heard all that. He didn't come and say, let me speak with y'all or let me speak with you. Nothing. Supposed to be church folks now. Good church people. So anyway, I guess I can't pick my fan back up. I fell on the floor. Look, she told me I'm gonna talk to her and all that. I said, no, I'm not. I'm telling people bye, bye, bye. I'm grabbing hold of my baby a little closer. Now she done start crying. She looking scared. A 4-year-old. She should have been scared. I wasn't. Scared that my self-control and my humanity and my heart and spirituality was fixing to go flying right out the window, and I was gonna bust this woman upside her head. But my baby was scared. My little girl was scared, and rightfully so. Correct. So, I turned my back on her because I kept trying to get out of there. Like, this lady just gonna have to be upset. I didn't explain myself and everything. She done put her hands on me too many times. I ain't bust her upside her head. I'm not the violent type. Let me go home, please. Then when you got out the foyer, you could either go to the left to where you had the kitchen dinners and stuff like that. Y'all know the fellowship hall and stuff, especially black people. So don't try to get it confused. Not even just black people, just people that go to church, especially a lot of Baptist, Christian, church, all kind of denominations. Y'all know what a fellowship hall is. And if you don't know what it is, where you go and eat when there's dinners. Or you can go to the right and at the exit door out to the parking lot. So you can go home. I've got my daughter. I'm trying to go to the right so I can go home. I get right to the fork, from the foyer, then the fork where you go kitchen area or door area. So right when I was turning and still saying bye to people, because a lot of people to turn to go with exit sign towards the door. Here we go again. Towards right now, not far from the preacher's office for real. Here we go again. My left arm gets pulled. Now I'm being pulled. I've got my baby's hand. So we're both being pulled the opposite direction by this same little lady. I know y'all probably can't believe it. I'm not making it up. I don't want to say on my mama's grave because I don't want to offend no family member that come across this video. But I'm just telling you all, this is totally, I'm not making this up. I'm not giving you names, the lady's name and all of that, the name of the church and stuff like that. But I'm not making this up. I am serious. This happened. Ooh, what a hot mess, right? So When I turned around and she's trying to drag me, now I'm way bigger than her. So she wasn't dragging me per se with all of her strength. She was pulling my arm to go in the direction of the fellowship hall. And I was thereby pulling my daughter with me because she was pulling me and I wasn't overly resisting. Because if I would have been overly resisting, she would have fallen. She was a little small senior citizen. But I looked at her and I yanked my arm from her and held my baby close. And now she's bawling, crying. I'm thinking to myself, lady, if I was a different person, if this was a different planet, if there was maybe, I don't know, different laws or whatever, I will bust you upside your head. So, but we're at church. We leaving choir rehearsal. The preacher's office is right around the corner. You acting a plumb idiot over nothing. And then she screams, you're going to come down here and sit in the fellowship. You're going to talk to me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to talk to you about nothing. I'm fixing to go home. I'm fixing to take my baby home. Bye. Good night, lady. Bye. And she was like, you're going to talk to me? I said, I'm not. I said, and guess what? Now I was at the point where there could have been some violence. She was already assaulting me and my child. I'm talking about retort self-defense violence from me. In the church, in the hallway, right in the corner from the preacher's house, right in the corner from the sanctuary. That's not holy. Church people out there, religious folks, ain't nothing holy about that. It's nothing holy about her behavior. It's nothing holy about nobody stopping her. It's nothing holy about nobody saying nothing. Nothing holy about the preacher not coming out, putting a stop to it. It's nothing holy about her trying to force me to go talk about something that I wasn't talking personally to her. I already apologized. What holy about her making my baby cry? She kept snatching on me and all. I could have. So, ooh, that was a long time ago, but it's just kind of getting me a little bit. Yeah, I did pick my fan up. But anyway, look. This is what happened. I said to her one last time, and I must have said it with enough fervor for her to take me dead serious. I had my baby close to me, to my leg, holding on to her so that there would be no more snatch and pull. I looked directly in that woman's face after I snatched my arm back from her. And I said, touch me again. Do it. Do it. Do it. I dare you to do it. Touch me again. Now, see, when I did that, maybe that spooked her a little bit. Did I want to harm her? No. No. Would I have harmed her if she would have grabbed my arm again? To this day, I have to be honest with you, I don't know what I would have done. But guess what I've thought about over time? What could have happened with that situation? I was much younger than her, bigger than her, taller than her, stronger than her. There were plenty of witnesses, but they weren't saying anything. They weren't intervening. I couldn't count on them. Then I was the newbie. My daughter, she was just 4. What was she going to say on anybody's witness stand? What if I would have let that lady go? Because I snatched my arm from her. I didn't let her fall. What if she had hit her head? Blunt force trauma. What if I had kapaya'd her? Slapped her. What if I would have reacted to her assaults, plural, and she would have hit up against the wall, hurt herself? Now we need the paramedics, the fire department, and the police usually come. So you have this whole hot mess going on, and they would have come in there and either seen some blood or something because of this old little small lady, or dead or harmed or whatever from her own actions. And there I would have been a younger woman, much taller, much bigger, much stronger, with my little 4-year-old who couldn't testify to nothing really. You think the tables could have turned on me? I could have been arrested. God forbid if the one would have died. I could have been in prison. Especially if the preacher and the church members didn't come to my defense and explain what I just sit here and explain to you guys. Think about what could have happened to me. Think about my kids. Could have lost their mom because of some so-called nasty acting church religious folks. Could have lost my freedom. Could have lost my family. Could have lost everything. And if that lady had hit her head or something like that and died, I wouldn't know, because I probably wouldn't be on here talking about it, because I'd probably still be locked up. That's why self-control is so important. That's why knowing the human hierarchy over animal, being animalistic, not saying you can't defend yourself, but self-control, human hierarchy versus animal instinct. That's why that's so important. That's why I talked about it in the earlier part of this long video on such a hot, well, I can't call it hot, on such a serious topic. Maybe even controversial to some people. Like, well, you know, nasty church folk, how's she gonna put that on there? Watch the whole video, you'll see how. And not just church folks, period. But I tell you, when I turned and I looked at her that third time and dared her to touch me again, she sure didn't. She backed up. And I politely turned around and I picked my baby up and walked to that exit door. And I was thinking to myself, Lord, hopefully that was the end of that. As far as her physically grabbing me, it was. But when I got to the car, I was like, "Woo, let me hurry up and get to my car and strap my baby in her car seat so I can get to the house, because it's been a hot mess, this mess." And still, people at their cars, bye, bye, bye. Nobody didn't say one. It's one person called me a few days after and said, "Girl, don't worry about it and stuff. Don't be all stressed out about what happened." Because she just kind of liked it. I was like, "What you mean? I'm not supposed to be stressed about that." Was hard, but I had my child with me. But as far as everybody else in the choir director, preacher, they never said one mumbly word about it. Ever. I left that church because I was so uncomfortable about that incident after being visited and then a member for 3 years. And because every time I went to church service on Sundays, even if our particular choir wasn't singing and we'd be sitting out in the audience and a different choir group would be singing, like churches have the youth group and so forth. So she would be clean across the room somewhere in the building, and she would be I don't care where I was sitting, she would be the whole service, she would be doing this to me. I was like, you know what, if they won't say nothing to that lady, and I don't know what's going on, I got kids, I don't know what's going on, whatever, I might as well go somewhere else. And I did. I ended up leaving because of that. But when I was went to the parking lot and folks was acting like nothing had went on or whatever, I was like, let me strap my baby in and get out of here. When I was leaning over, putting her in her car seat and strapped, that lady bust the door open and screamed, "You're going straight to hell!" Real loud. I was thinking myself, and nobody even responded to that. A couple people just kind of like, I just saw maybe a couple looks on their face like, let me get, let's go, But it's nobody said, "Miss so-and-so, really? That's inappropriate." Not one word. So that's the end of that story. I know that was kind of the long LP version, but I went back in time and it gave me anxiety just thinking about it, because Look at the reality. Like I said, not only did she do all of that, but if I had responded to her to defend myself and out of anger and just, shockaroo and confusion over people not restraining her and a child being there and all of that, if the police would have came, what kind of matchup was that? Me versus a senior citizen in their mid 70s or something like that, look like they're about 90 pounds. That's not a matchup. I could have got in trouble for something I didn't even do. Woo, Lord. And the last thing is, this was something that happened when I was a member at an all white or all Caucasian church denomination and service. And because this video is 220, so I kind of like even numbers, and 20 is even and 30 is odd, but so I won't bring it back up, I guess. I guess I can just do this and just say simply what happened. I had been a visitor, and then I've been a member of this. I was the only black family there for the most part. And then one or two, either black or Latino or something, came periodically for a hot minute and then they were gone. And there was a black lady there when we first got there, I think with a kid or two, and she didn't stay. So my family was the family that was there for like consistently for like about 3 or so years. We're the only blacks in there, the only minorities, the only people of color in there. And some things happened over time with the whole being people of color that were negative. There were very nice, loving people there too. But you had the people that, obviously maybe didn't really care too much about the people of color part. So some things happened that just kind of got old, and we just kind of got tired of it. So we just kind of stopped going as much. It just kind of faded away. And we didn't announce, hey, we're no longer members. We just didn't go. And I just decided a few years after that just to go on Father's Day, because the father that I was told is my father, even though I'm an orphan, I never lived with him. He never raised me, and he died years ago. So I was just feeling some kind of way on Father's Day, and I thought, I'm not going to let the fact that I haven't really been in regular service here and some of the racial issues and this, then whatever that's occurred stop me from going on Father's Day. And I decided to go alone. I was the only black person in that entire medium sized, pretty decent sized church and church congregation, all Caucasian. And it was one other person of color that's of kind of like I don't know, Hawaiian, what, I don't know what you call that. I don't know if it's Filipino or something like Polynesian, of that series of people, I think, something. And he had been a long-term member there. Other than that, I was the only person of color and only black person. And it was Father's Day, so it was crowded with extra visitors from out of town to celebrate Father's Day. And there was just this one, there were 3 sections, section over there full, section over there full, middle section half full, and the first 3 or 4 rows nobody was there. And that's actually where I normally sat, about the 4th row down. So I just went where I normally sat by myself, the only black person. So they would get ready to have communion, and most of the people in there knew me, because members there for like 3 or 4 years. There were a few new faces or whatever, but most of the people and the clergy and everybody, they knew me. So communion came around the first time, and I was sitting by myself. So I felt like it was like a 100,000 eyes on the back of my weave, because I had a weave wig on that day. I felt like 100,000 eyes on the back of my, but I didn't care. I was like, whatever, this is the Lord's house. I'm here to worship his Father's Day. I'm feeling melancholy about that. I'm not here about these other people. I'm a strong person. This is a church that I've been a member of for years. Just kind of some issues, whatever, but it's the Lord's house. I'm here. They came around because that's what they do kind of first. Came around with communion. I reached my hand out for the communion, whichever is first, the bread. God forgive me. Um, and I reached my hand out for it, and they passed me right by in front of all of those people, and I took my hand back, and I was like, "Did that just happen?" Yes, it did. What do you do? You're surrounded by white people. You're the only black person sitting up here alone at a church that you've been a member of. Most of these people know you. Everybody saw that, including the visitors. What do you do? So I thought, okay. And it was a young guy that I didn't really recognize that well. So maybe in the year or two that I didn't, year and a half, two that I wasn't going there regularly, maybe he didn't know me from nowhere. But still, really, I reached out for the communion. I mean, anyway, the bread. So I thought, maybe somebody that saw, everybody saw it. So of the majority of the people that knew me, especially those that were really sweet and nice and they cared about me and all that, surely they would tell the leadership in the back before they came back up front to disseminate the uh, blood of Christ representation of the grape juice or the wine. They would fix it and maybe give me the bread and the wine. So I sit there, feeling kind of awkward or whatever, but I was like, it's gonna get fixed. That was just an error or something. I don't know what it was. And so they came back around to pass out the wine. And so when he came towards my thing, I reached out for it. He kept going. And I jerked my hand back, and I thought, oh Lord. I didn't know what to do. I'm just gonna be honest. I had issues at all black community churches now. I don't know. I described a couple of really thorough incidents to you guys. So this is not a black person, black on black stuff only. And this is not a black or a person of color against this white. You see, it's both now. That's why it's like the German lady said, it's good and bad people across the board. So I was sitting there feeling really weirded out. A shockaroo times 100 billion. Because we're a church service now. And this is communion. The blood of Christ representation in his body. That's big. It's huge. And I got passed up. Let's see, what reason would it be if I'm the only black person in there and I'm sitting by myself, even though most of the people knew me and I was a member there? What reason could it be? Somebody give me a reason. Email me or put a message on here and give me some other kind of reason other than me being black why I got passed up for communion. Please. And if you can't give me a reason, then let's just go with the fact that it was wrong throat and it was because I'm of the color of my skin. What else can we come up with? It's crazy. So I wanted to scream, run. Again, we're in the house of the Lord, house of worship. You can't be acting up, being undignified, unsanctified, unholy, acting a nut. Can't be cussing folks out. Don't need to be doing that even if you're not at church. And when you do, you need to ask for forgiveness, because I do. Because I get mad and I say curse words and I ask God to forgive me for mixing curses and blessings, because light and dark don't mix. You can't mix the two. Everybody that knows me know I do it. But you're going to get the cussing at church and acting nutty. Two wrongs don't make a right, and that was very wrong. It was hurtful. It was on Father's Day. My father is dead. I don't even have any proof that was even my father, but he said he was. I was introduced to him when I was 13. So he said he was my father. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm your daughter. Hello, nice to meet you. And I got to know him over time. And he's not on my birth certificate. I just didn't have proof, but he accepted me. I accepted him. He didn't do nothing for me. He got drunk and I drove his car with no driver's license to the mall and took his whole $800 check and took me and my best friend shopping on a shopping spree. When he woke up and stuff for a long time, for years till I got grown, I wouldn't tell him that that was me. He thought because he was drunk and stuff that somebody must have clipped him. I'm the one that clipped him. Boy, we had a good time at that mall that day. We bought so much stuff and pizza and stuff. That was wrong, but I'm just saying that's what I did. I told him when I was grown. He said, "You better be glad that you waited till you got grown to tell me, because I would have whooped your little behind." He said, "Because he looked for that money. He just knew somebody had stolen that money from him. A guy or something out on the street." I said, "Of course I wasn't gonna tell you when I was young. You kidding?" And rolled him in the back seat of his own car. And God forbid, I didn't understand alcoholism. My poor daddy could have vomited and choked on his own alcohol. How we knew we was gonna go for a joyride shopping at the mall. But anyway, back to the communion at the church. I just wanted to go to church service. It's not all I know, but it has always been a part of my life. I said at the beginning of the video, I was born into the church. And I wanted to go to commemorate the father who claimed me as his daughter. Even though he never raised me or anything like that. We didn't live in the same house. But I thought he was a pretty cool dude, and he was funny and goofy and smart, and said I was his daughter, and died a long time ago. And I just wanted to go to church on Father's Day. And that's what happened to me. So I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream, I wanted to run. I don't know if I was embarrassed more or angry. I had a lot of emotions. And then it was time to stand up and sing, and I had all these emotions. But I told myself, nobody owns the Lord. Nobody owns spirituality. Nobody owns, I mean, yeah, somebody holds or helps pay for the deed to church buildings, but nobody owns the spirit of any kind of religious belief or worship. Nobody owns that. So I felt like I have a right to be here in spirit. I may not have helped pay off the deed to the building, but I have a right to be here in spirit, regardless of how horrible I've just been treated. How, I don't know if it was racial only, whatever it was the devil incarnate. It was evil as far as I was concerned. It was wrong. It was inexplicable. It was inexcusable. It was beyond a shockaroo. So I said, so I'm going to stand here and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to sing every song. I'm going to listen to the entire sermon. I'm going to let all those eyes be at the back of my weave. I'm going to sit here and take it like a woman and like a Christian and like a spiritual person and like a human being. And I stood there and I held back tears, maybe a little one came right into the duck, but it didn't fall. And I sang as good as I can sing and loud as I can sing. And I listened to the sermon and I did what I always do. And I took notes and I got into the sermon and the scriptures and I held firm in my faith after being treated like that as the only Black person surrounded by white people, many of which knew me, that I talked to in the past, hugged, cared about, all of that. And none of them intervened. None of them. And other than whatever couple of people that were in charge that I spoke about it and or called or emailed afterwards, I said that obviously there was no reason for me to return. So I will end this video with such, for some, a questionable or controversial, or maybe some people may find it disrespectful. I pray not. Title. If you've actually watched this entire video, or some or most of it, or gotten some of those examples, and there's more of how I've been treated um, by um, supposedly so-called um, spiritual or religious or good, church people, then you will understand why I did this video, why I shared, um, and why the title is what it is. I bid you all peace, God bless, and good night.